welcome along to the ProjectCars2 Virtual Racing League, where today, yes, it's round 10, the final round of the Xbox GT3 Championship. We've been going at it now for a couple of months, and it all comes down to this. It's a battle, straight battle for the championship between Porsche versus Ferrari at one of the most legendary circuits you could possibly hope to visit. Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Absolutely stunning, majestic circuits. We've been through the forest, and it's going to be a hell of a battle here today. As you can see, if you've been following the championship, that's the lineup of competitors, plus a few more that have joined us along the way, and a couple of that have dropped out as well, as you'd always expect that after a long championship. But most of the drivers have been regular, and we'll have to wait and see what happens here today. I genuinely can't wait to see this one. Scuderia Sam versus Sabrosa. Sabrosa's had 3 wins versus Scuderia Sam's 2 wins, but don't forget Roger the Dodger versus Stuart Davis as well. Battle for 3rd place, that's still on the cards, only 3 points separating those two. And then Alex CDL has to hold off Cherry Berry with Chris Doherty there. Nice comfortable margin over Joe Brown, Alex Brown, Loopy, Crazy Stewpot, D-Man, all battling away, still to be resolved, those ones. And then Big Bad Wolf, Free Gazelle on joint points with BDCC Dan just behind. So it's absolutely all to play for. And in qualifying, it was probably quite close, so I'll have to wait and see what happens, and it's going to be a foggy start to the race. But in the manufacturer's standings, it's all wrapped up. Mercedes have won the Constructors' Championship, 205 points there, courtesy of wins from both Stuart Davis and Alex CDL. The Ferrari there in 2nd, still could potentially lose out to Porsche there in 3rd, we'll have to wait and see. Audi in 4th there, could still catch Porsche, but has to hold off Renault as well. Roger the Dodger's been going really well in that Renault. The only Renault driver, and then Lamborghini, Bentley and McLaren. Anyway, let's go to the track guide with a Ferrari and with Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Down the pit straight into the source. Really tricky, hard on the brakes. 1st gear, 2nd gear, close to the wall, don't want to hit it though. Then just run it out wide. Now down this little straight, go past the 2nd pits, which the GT cars use, close to the wall. And now you're going to be lining up into a Rouge and then Radeon. Use all the curve, then throw it in right, left, blind crest. Really tricky and very easy to go wide and even into the barrier now. Through Camel and onto the Camel straight. So you can really ring the car out, top speed, highest gear, and then hard on the brakes just as you go to the curb left, straight into Les Combes. Tricky right, left, hit both curbs, and then into Malmedy. You can ride the curb a bit there, don't want to go too wide on the left, you can go into the gravel very easily, then hard braking downhill to the long right-hander, try and hug the curb and then run it out wide. You can go a bit further, but curve of the car will spin now into No Name. You can use as much as you need there really, because if you go any further you're in the barriers. Now really tricky double left-hander. You got to try and throw the car and trust you got all the grip from the tyres. Don't run too wide, even though you got nice tarmac there, but you're going to lose a load of time. Then heavy braking again into a quick right-left, 2nd, 3rd gear depending on the car. Try not to ride the curb on the inside, because that can actually flick you out into the barriers on the left. Then into Campos now, quite tricky again. Run it a bit wide with the green strip, and then in Stavlor, don't want to hit the curb on the inside because it's actually bowed and it can spin your car out. Now, it's not really straight now, but flat out again, and you've got to brace yourself going into Blanchimont. That can usually a slight lift, but if you're brave, you can go full throttle. Here is Blanchimont. Just tap the curb there. You can run a bit wide onto the green AstroTurf, and then back heavy braking just before the curb on the left into the chicane, which used to be the bus stop. But you can ride the curb there, and then full throttle now onto pit straight and then La Source again.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, fantastic to see this track in action today. But first of all, let's have a look at the highlights from last time out at Daytona. Yeah, that was a fantastic race, that one was. And two Mercedes battling away, but then hitting problems, and then Porsche and Subrosa coming through with absolutely sublime pace to win that one, despite a couple of penalties. And it's Subrosa who starts on pole position today as well. A perfect qualifying for him, starting by half a second on pole. Fantastic stuff ahead of Scuderia Sam, his arch rival for this championship. It's Alex Idiel starting third in the Mercedes. He's been on pole a lot this year, but not today. Roger the Dodger there is doing what he can to beat Stuart Davis in the championship by starting fourth. Ahead of Stuart in fifth, then it's Chris Doherty, D-Man, Tracy Stewart, Big Bad Wolf and Luby McGee rounding out the order, and then Free Gazelle as well just behind them. So it's going to be great to see how they get on here. La Source of course is treacherous at the best of times, especially at the start of a race, as we've seen in many motorsport events throughout the year. So let's see how they get on. As you can see, it's extremely foggy here today, so the commentators are going to have a work cut out, and you can see the headlights through the mist there. We're going to have to wait and see who's coming down to La Source first. It's Subrosa. He's had a great start, and it looks like Alex CDL and Scuderia Sam battling their way to on the exit, and it looks like the car's running wide as well there as they go out at La Source now, disappearing into the fog as they head down to Eau Rouge. It must be absolutely like living on their senses here, and hopefully the drivers have all practiced well and they know this track like the back of their hands, because they're going to have to in this fog. And that's Chris Doherty battling their way there with Stuart Davis. I think Roger Dodge has lost a lot of ground. He's down to 8th position. This isn't good news for him in his battle with Stuart. Stuart now though has to fend off the Lamborghini, special livery Lamborghini today from Chris Doherty. Nice shades of pink on that one, and and he's coming out of the mist now into Lecombs, and he's run wider. Stuart Davis has run even wider. Where's Stuart Davis? He's off completely, and Chris Doherty's run wide now, and that's Crazy Stewpot in the Audi. Fantastic start for Crazy Stewpot. And now this is Scuderia Sam making a move for the lead down the inside of Subrosa. He kicks the cone out of the way and he's got him. And it's Scuderia Sam now just ahead of Subrosa, the two championship rivals battling each other. And there's only 4 points separating them. So if it's a straight battle between these two for the win, it'll be winner takes all in terms of the championship today. So it's really on the line here for the two of those guys. They can't afford to make any mistakes, but neither can the rest of the field too. Alex CDL is in third ahead of Crazy Stewpot. Then it's Chris Doherty, and Roger the Dodger now is ahead of Stuart Davis. So Stuart Davis has really lost out at the top of the Kennel Straight there as they came into Lecombe. We'll have to wait and see if we can see what happened to him. He ran really wide, and now Roger Dodger is really hunting down the Lamborghini, who's been going really well in practice at this circuit. It has to be said of Chris Doherty, the Irishman now, and you can see he's trying to stay with Crazy Stewpot in the Audi just up ahead there. And then behind it's Stuart Davis and Big Bad Wolf too in the Lamborghini. He's not far behind this battle that we're looking at now, and D-Man as well. And rising on the bumper now, Crazy Stewpot as they head through the fog. Look at this, Alex. What do you make of this?
Yeah, they can't see anything out there. The fog's so thick. Hopefully it'll clear up soon. But Sam's doing the job he needs, and he's got the lead from Subrosa. But Subrosa's right on his tail as Stewpot goes quite wide there. Luckily it's tarmac now, not grass, but into the fog. Lamborghini's trying. Oh, and that's Stewpot going wide. Oh, and they hit. Stewpot right in that sausage curb. He's still ahead of the Lamborghini just, but now he's got Roger trying to go for him. And they're almost 3 wide going into La Source. Roger will have an advantage on the inside, but Chris may break a bit early. Yeah, he tries to get the cut back, but it doesn't quite work. Now he's under fire from the orange Mercedes of Stu. Can't see anything though, that fog's so thick, so they're battling away and trying to see the other cars, but it's so difficult at this point. But Chris has lost out a bit, and Stu wide again. That Mercedes looks tricky in the opening stages of this race. That looks like Roger going past the Audi of Stewpot, and the Lamborghini's joining him, and he's trying to get past both of them. But there's not quite. Stu had it the inside. Just about keeps it, but he's gone wide for the second bit, but that puts him into advantage for the right-hander. Gets it back perfectly. This is a great little battle brewing here.
Absolutely, Alex. A fantastic little scrap here unfolding between the 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th cars on the circuit right now, and it's anyone's guess who's going to get away from this one in the lead of this little battle. It's Roger Dodge at the moment, who's really been the winner on this last lap or so, because he's gone up now from he was down in 8th, wasn't he? And now he's all the way up to 4th place. And Crazy Stewpot and Chris there running wide, and Stuart Davis taking the more conventional route around Pujon. And he's really trying to close in now, try and stay in the slipstream through these couple of corners for the long back straight. And it looks like the Mercedes, like you say, is struggling a little bit. We're expecting this fog to hopefully clear because of the weather slots on the race here that we've set. It's going to be a random for the first bit. It's Alex Ideal running wide, and then it's going to be clear, isn't it, for the rest of the race, with, let's not forget, one mandatory pit stop to make too. So it really will be interesting here, because Subrosa is all over the back of that Ferrari like a rash at the moment. He's clearly got the pace on the Ferrari, if he can just find a way through.
I wonder if Sam's going to try and back that Porsche up into the Mercedes of Alex CDL, who's going into the chicane now. Looking on the outside, will he go on the inside? No, he runs deep, and that's put Alex on his back bumper, so Alex might get a run on him into the source. So he's going to have to be careful of that, because that Mercedes is awfully fast in a straight line. Brakes aren't so good, so he can brake a bit later unless Alex goes for a dive. And he's looking for a dive on the inside. That's brave in the Mercedes. That thing doesn't like to stop. And that's put Alex up to second. You see Rivera Subrosa's there in third, but that's really compromised his race and championship. And now Scuderia Sam will try and scarper away, and while Subrosa will be battling with Alex.
That was unbelievable bravery from Alex Ideal. That Mercedes is not the easiest thing to get stopped, and I was about to question whether Alex Ideal was going to even bother getting involved in this scrap. And just as I was thinking that, he goes for a lunge, and I think any questions now have been answered. Alex Ideal wants the win here today. Despite all his pole positions and fastest laps he's had in that Mercedes, he's only taken one win in this championship, and I think he quite fancies another one today here. But he's really in the middle of this championship scrap now, but I don't think he's really thinking too much about that, is he, by the looks of it?
No, as we jump on board with Luke G. Poor getaway from the Audi. Don't think there's anyone by him. But he's quite lucky there. But see the start. Roger goes wide onto the grass, and he gets caught up with, I believe that's the Lamborghini of
Big Bad Wolf.
Bad Wolf. Yeah, I think so. And then Frigazelle nips up on the inside. Oh, a bit of contact there between the Renault and the Porsche, so quite lucky there. Oh, and then Luke G gets rammed into the wall by Frigazelle's Porsche. On board with Chris now. Fantastic start from that Lamborghini. And there you go. Roger just get caught up between the two, and that spits him wide. Yeah,
Chris just got a bit sandwiched there, didn't he, between the Mercedes and the Renault. And this is on board Crazy Stewpot now, as they on lap one, as they replay coming up to the back. Let's see what happens here. So there's Stuart Davis. That's what happened to Stuart Davis. He ran really, really well. He just outbraked himself by the looks of it. And then Chris got out of shape, and Crazy Stewpot just said, "Thank you. I'll take those two positions off your hands very, very nicely." And this is on the opening lap as well. So Brosa still in the lead in the Scuderia Sam season opening, and he takes it.
Yeah, that was a great dive. He had to do it, just try and get this championship. And we see replay of Stu now getting through on Stewpot. Brave on the brakes. Said he runs a bit deep, but covers off nicely the Audi, and the power of that Mercedes should keep him ahead. Saying that, it looks like Stewpot's going to have a fight back, and obviously Audi brakes are a bit better, but doesn't risk it, and fall back in line.
You can see the racecraft of Crazy Stewpot though. He really tried to take a nice wide entry into that corner, try and get a nice slingshot out of it, but Stuart Davis was wise to it. Now we've got Big Bad Wolf battling away the Ferrari of D-Man, but Big Bad Wolf's lost it, and he's spinning round and bang into the barrier. Oh dear, that's not worked out at all well for the Lamborghini driver, and he's had a little spin now in his 666 car, and he's getting going again now, but he's lost a couple of positions. Loopy McG, I think, is flashing through there as well in his Audi, the red Audi, so he's run that livery a couple of times now. It's much easier though to see him apart from Crazy Stewpot. Before they were both using silver cars, weren't they?
Yeah, I think he prefers that red livery, so he's stuck with it, and it's quite a nice fit for that car, but not a great start to the race for Wolf. Two incidents, one not really his fault, you could say, at the source, but that one just losing the back, and round he goes, and looks like Scuderia Sam's pulling away a bit at the front, as Subrosa's getting held up a bit by Alex, and he'll have to try and get past him as soon as possible.
Yeah, Subrosa clearly has the pace in this race, but he needs to use it now if he can, because he does not want to let that Ferrari get too far ahead of Scuderia Sam, because this is for the championship now. Everything they've done, all championship, comes down to this between the two of them, and he's got that Gulf liveried Mercedes. Very nice livery, I have to say, but Subrosa's probably not thinking that. But Alex runs wise, and now Subrosa's looking for a way through, but we cut to Roger Dodger in fourth place, coming through the chicane now. We have to wait and see how that unfolds between Alex Ideal and Subrosa, and George is still leading the charge of Chris Doherty, Stuart Davis and Crazy Stewpot in the background. Alex Ideal going defensive now, so Subrosa's got him under attack, and he's trying to look for the cut back, and he gets a great run out of there. Alex DDL tries to hold, a little nudge as well off the track. He's trying to hold the inside line there, but Subrosa's got a great run as well. Look, side by side, coming out into a rouge. This is going to be really entertaining to see what happens here, and Alex DDL just about holds the position. Incredible stuff, just side by side into a rouge.
Yeah, that's very brave of Alex there. He really said, let's see what you got, Subrosa, and Subrosa backed out because he didn't want to risk the championship and a silly incident. So smart by him, and now he's got the slipstream. Will he go around the outside into Lecombs? He's thinking about it. Will he do it? No, has he gone wide? No, a little mistake there from Alex, but Subrosa keeps on the road and he's through, and Alex fighting back now into Malmedy, and he's got the inside line, and he's back in second place.
This is a great scrap between them. You've got Subrosa with it all to lose, and Alex DDL with absolutely nothing to lose. And riding on board Subrosa now, he needs to find a way past. I was wondering if he's going to pit. Of course, he can't pit in the first 3 laps because of the pit window rules that we've got. He can't pit in the first 3 or the last 3 laps. And Subrosa, of course, fell foul of that, didn't he? He got a penalty, which actually could in the end cost him quite dearly in the championship. And they're both running slightly wide there through Pujon, really pushing the limits of both of their cars. But it does look like Subrosa's got a lot of pace. If only he can just try and get past. I feel I've said that a couple of times now. He really does need to make it work for him. But if he pits this lap, he could possibly get the undercut on Alex.
Yeah, and he's tried that a few times before, and it has worked, but it's not going well for him at the moment. That's a big car he's got to pass, and that's Roger in 4th closing in as well, and he's bringing Chris along as Roger just darts to the inside. May have been a little mistake, but this could all start to go downhill if those 2 catch up to Subrosa, because then he's in a 4-way fight for second.
Yeah, I'd expect Subrosa to peel off into the pits soon, if I'm honest, try and get out of this. And then use his pace a little bit, but then expect, of course, the Ferrari to cover him off a little bit too. But it does look like the Renault and the Lamborghini here of Roger the Dodger and Chris Doherty are pulling a nice little gap over Stuart Davis behind. Oh, it's Alex DDL who pits first. Interesting. I wonder if Subrosa was going to do the opposite of what he did. And Alex DDL decides to take matter into his own hands now and pits. So maybe he's thinking of the undercut as well on Scuderia Sam's Ferrari as he comes into the pit lane. And of course, Alex DDL and Subrosa had an absolutely epic first half of the race last time out at Daytona, didn't they? And Alex DDL, of course, very unfortunate, got taken out by Cherryberry as he disconnected the controller. So I wonder if Alex DDL wants revenge here today.
Yeah, possibly, because Alex did the undercut on Subrosa at Daytona, so he knows it works, but I think Subrosa's just a bit faster in the Porsche than Alex in the Mercedes. The Mercedes seems to lack a bit of poise around the corner, but this is really allowed Roger to close up on Subrosa, so he's still not out the woods just yet. He's got a fast Roger approaching him.
Yeah, Roger that, and Roger's really closing in, like you say, and we have seen him go really nicely at some of the tracks in this championship, and then others not so much. The Renault does seem to be hit and miss, but today is looking very good indeed, and so does D-Man's nice Ferrari. We used to see him in the yellow Ferrari, but that's a nice livery as well, isn't it, as Loopy McGee pits. Oh, he's coming out of the pits.
Yeah, just coming out of the pits. He's got his out the way early, and where's he come out? He's come out in 9th position. I'm not sure that's right because it's saying Alex is in the lead currently, unless Subrosa and Sam have pitted. So that'd be quite interesting if Alex has jumped them.
I think it's a timing error there by the looks of it, because they all seem a bit out those times. 30 seconds. Yeah. Something wrong with the screen there. Don't pay attention to that at the moment. Now McGee's first.
Yeah, it's bit of a glitch there, but you see Alex now, he'll be absolutely on it, trying to make up as much time as he can just to try and cover off Subrosa as we go to a replay now. Let's see, going through Lecom. Oh, bit of sideways moment, he's on the grass. That's shows he's really pushing, trying to get that fast lap, but that's not going to help him at all.
No, certainly not, because he really needs to nail these laps at the moment if he wants a chance of leapfrogging, or staying ahead, of this man here, the Porsche man, the man who we've seen dominate some of the races in this championship and would definitely be a deserving winner of this championship, but he really needs to crack on now and try and do something about that Ferrari up in front, who does seem to have been a bit of a roadblock, has to be said, Scuderia Sam, in some of the races in this championship.
Yeah, it's not been the fastest car, but consistency and misfortune of the others have really benefited Sam. just like at Monza when Sabrosa got disqualified for too fast in the pit entry, and you have to imagine he'll be kicking himself for allowing that to happen.
Well, yeah, exactly, because he's certainly got the pace to win this championship. He's been absolutely phenomenal all through it, but some little mistakes have cost him, but we'll see whether it actually costs the championship or not. There's still a long way to go, only lap 6 at the moment, or 14 laps in this race. And with pit stops and everything and battles still to come, it's anyone's guess what's going to happen. But let's have a little look at some of the other battles. We've got Chris Doty in the championship. There's not much he can do, Chris Doty, in terms of changing his position. But Roger Dodge, he can really change his position by doing that because he's in the barrier. There's the orange Mercedes of Stuart Davis's nemesis going through. And Roger Dodge has made a mistake and thrown away a lot of positions. He was pressurised in second, and now he's down to 5th, and this is put him behind Stuart Davis. It's going to really cost him in the championship, but thankfully for him, there's still a long way to go, and he can, in this race, and he can probably fix that because he's got a lot of pace. But look, 20.5 he did the last time round, one of the fastest of any drivers.
Yeah, he'd be kicking himself for that. He was, like I said, he was on the back of Sabrosa and putting pressure on him, but if anything, that's sort of helped Sabrosa really, because it's relieved the pressure and he can try and just put some fast laps in. But yeah, he's allowed Stuart up into 5th now, so he'll be trying to chase him down. He may even pit this lap, try and just get out of the way and absolutely nail it for the second half of the race.
Certainly right there, Alex. And Roger Dodge, I just want to say quickly, he's had a phenomenal championship. Let's not forget, Sabrosa and Roger Dodge are new to this league, just joined this championship at the start, and they've both won races. Roger Dodge finished close second as well a few times, and he's had a fantastic championship, hasn't he? But he does need to make up for that mistake now, because Stuart Davis is 3 points behind him in the championship, I think, and he's now going to be 3 points ahead of him here. So they'll be joint on wins. What would happen actually? I don't know what would happen if they were joint on points and wins.
I think it would go down to most podiums, which
yeah.
I think it'd be quite close, but I think this man just takes it. I know Roger's had a couple of second places, but it'll be interesting to see how that's ruled if it does come down to it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Into the source now. Tricky break in there, but Chris seems to have scarped the way. He's going well in 3rd, and Roger stayed out, so he reckons he can try and catch that Mercedes up. And talking of catching up, that Porsche is almost all over the back of the Ferrari. It just shows the pace Sabrosa has. Yeah,
certainly. 20.3 last time versus Scuderia Sam's 21.9, which does seem a bit slow. I don't know if he had a bit of an issue, or that car does seem to be sliding around a little bit now, the Ferrari. Perhaps it's not working so well for him at this stage of the race. So now the fog is cleared, and Sabrosa's certainly got a lot of pace. You can see that Ferrari moving around a lot, actually, and Sabrosa will be looking at every single movement of the rear end of that prancing horse and thinking, I'm closing in, he's struggling a bit, and the confidence and the momentum will be swinging to the rival. But of course, track position is key.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, it's a tricky long track, and tyres will be starting to get old and worn and losing their grip by every lap. So as you see Sam going quite wide there, but Sabrosa did the same. So it could be the case that the tyres are starting to go off already, so he might want to pit soon, just relieve them a bit or even change them.
Well, possibly, but then changing the tyres is going to take a long time, isn't it? A lot longer than if you just pitted, and you have to work out how much time you're losing versus how much time you'd gain on new tyres. Of course, the drivers don't have to take new tyres, do they? They can just come in. That's, well, pretty much all the time throughout this championship, they just come in, and unless it's changeable conditions, they just come into the pits and then go straight back out, maybe stationary for 5 or 6 seconds, isn't it? And Sabrosa is probably going to pit soon, I reckon, if he can't get through on this red car, because he'll try and get the undercut if he can.
Yeah, he'd be smart to pit soon as well, because he's definitely got the pace, and you'd have to imagine he'd jump Alex, who was ahead of him and pitted before him. Just looking at Sabrosa on the brakes, so right on the back, and yeah, he's in the pits. Careful to brake, get the speed limiter on. He's learned his lesson there.
It's a tricky entry at Spa, isn't it?
Yeah, super tricky. You meant to go on the tyre, but most people just cut onto the green. But this is the F1 pit lane, I believe. They got 2 pit lanes here, so they're luckily using the shorter one, which will benefit the drivers.
Absolutely true, actually, yeah. And it's about, 24, 25 seconds for a pit stop here?
Yeah, something like that. It's probably one of the shorter pit lanes we've used. It's definitely not as long as Long Beach, which felt like driving 2 miles.
Yeah, living up to his lane, Long Beach there, with a extra long pit lane. Anyway, so Brosa coming out of that pit lane now, and he's getting back up to speed. Where is the Gulf Livery Mercedes of Alex CDL? Is not even in shot yet. There he is, coming out of La Source, and Subrosa has absolutely jumped it by around 4 or 5 seconds, possibly. We'll have to wait and see how it shakes out now, once it's fully get up to speed. But Alex CDL, of course, with the little error, has really cost him. But I think even with that error, Subrosa probably would have jumped him anyway, looking at the pace. Look, Alex CDL only just coming over the top of Radion now. And Subrosa is on his way, and he is going to have absolutely one thing in mind now, and that is jumping Scuderia Sam. And Scuderia Sam will be paying very close attention to, as the timing screen goes all wrong again, by the looks of it, we're paying very close attention to the times of this Porsche, if you can see it on his screen. Of course, the drivers are all looking at the same thing that we are, aren't we, at the left-hand side of the screen there.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine theirs would be more accurate than ours, because it's showing Subrosa up in first, which is not right. He's probably down in 6th or 7th, but he'd be putting those fast laps in now. He's got no one around him. He's dropped Alex quite nicely. You see Alex not even in the background.
This lap here could potentially change the outcome of the championship, depending on how these two drivers perform. And you can see the flamethrower of the Ferrari there spitting fire. He's absolutely on a mission, trying not to let that Porsche jump him at all, is Scuderia Sam, and riding the curve, really throwing that Ferrari around for all it's worth. And he needs to pit now if he's got to have a chance of staying out ahead of that Porsche, I'd imagine. Surely he's going to pit this time, is he? Is he heading for the pits? Yes, he is. Trying careful now, slow it down. Oh, it's close, that one, and didn't quite hit the barrier, thankfully. But now it'll be really, really interesting. Now this could decide the championship, Alex, this bit here, whether Subrosa gets ahead or not.
Yeah, even if it's side by side, you have to imagine Subrosa have the advantage. It's going to be super close, you imagine. He's trying to cover the undercut off, but let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, he's away again now from his pit box, going down the pit lane, and this is the Porsche. Where's the Porsche? Is coming through the last corner now, the tricky chicane. A great exit for Subrosa, and a long way to go for the Ferrari still, because I think the pit box was quite near the start. So you'll be hearing that Porsche engine screaming down the straight and thinking, oh, how close is it going to be? And coming round now, La Source is Subrosa. Where's the Ferrari? There it is. So it looks like it's made up some time even, Scuderia Sam. So this is game on now, absolutely game on for the championship. It's a straight fight for the next 5 laps to see who wins the title.
Yeah, that undercut didn't work. Sam was smart and pitted straight away just so he wasn't in too much danger and lose too much time. But look at the Porsche on the straight, it's absolutely flying, plus it's got the slipstream. Won't be able to be too far back now to do anything, as you see Chris in the background. So they I think he's pitted now. Back with Loopy in 8th place, bit of a lock up there, super wide, but just, well, it keeps on the AstroTurf, it's almost a track, and we haven't seen this man much. D-Man in the blue livery. He's jumped from the yellow one to the blue, as we see. Who's this? Big Bad Wolf into the chicane. He's on a recovery drive really after the 2 incidents at the start, but he'll be enjoying it. He missed a lot of the races, unfortunately, but he's back with us now and loving every moment. And I think Chris has jumped Alex in the Mercedes, because Alex was ahead. Oh
yeah, very good point. The timing screen's messed up again. It's a Ferrari leading, but it's D-Man apparently. But I think, yeah, the timing screen does seem to be having a nightmare here. Maybe it's all the trees getting in the way of the signal, who knows. But Subrosa's really hunting down. Look at this, all over the back of the Ferrari. And Scuderia Sam's got his work cut out here, especially as they go down the long straight now. But it's not really a straight, is it, like you said in the track guide, Alex? So it could play to the advantage of Scuderia Sam. Look how close this is. Oh, just crowding the Porsche slightly there. And Subrosa's really trying to find a way through. And it's going to be really interesting now to see what happens as they come on the brakes for the chicane.
Yeah, Sam will most likely go defensive unless Subrosa's a bit fast. Yeah, Sam's going middle of the track, not fully defensive. He knows he'll lose too much time, and he's forced the Porsche a bit wide there. It's very, very nervy stuff from both drivers at the moment. They know there's so much at stake here, and all this battling could bring Chris into play.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot at stake here. Like I said, the whole championship now, everything they've done, every little qualifying lap and corner that they've taken, all comes down to this: a few laps at Spa. The winner takes all, and it's exactly what we want to see as fans, isn't it? Especially legendary car makers Ferrari versus Porsche as well. And also Scuderia Sam, who's been around in this league since the start, and the newcomer Subrosa, who is only 16, but he's absolutely flying. He's got a hell of a lot of pace.
He's trying to show the old guns what the new guys can do, and he's really pushing at the moment. You can see Sam is on the ragged edge with that Ferrari, just chucking it in, and you can see he's on the controller because it's a lot more snappier movements in that steering. He'll be constantly looking in that little TV screen where that Porsche is, where he's trying to get past him, where he's a bit faster, a bit slower. He'll be watching that as much as the road ahead.
Absolutely, one little mistake here by either driver could cost him, but you'd have to think Scuderia Sam's going to try if he can to back that Porsche into Chris to help him out a little bit. Otherwise it's going to be extremely difficult to keep him behind, I think, with the amount of pace Subrosa has until the end of the race, unless one of them makes a mistake. But Chris isn't really catching at the moment. Despite the two battling, Chris is still holding around 3 or 4 seconds behind them. Scuderia Sam going defensive again now as they go through the sweeping turns before they head onto the Blanchemont straight once again. Ferrari spitting fire behind it, and Subrosa, though, isn't phased. He's still coming for it as quick as he can, placing his car very nicely indeed, trying to get the maximum speed through and exit speed he possibly can. He knows the Porsche is really strong in the straight. We saw that at Daytona, and he knows that if he gets half a chance he can maybe get through even before the chicane possibly. But Scuderia Sam is pretty wise to it, and he's placing his car in all the right positions as well, trying to make it as awkward as possible. Subrosa trying to go around the outside. Oh, I thought he was going to try and go around the outside then.
Seen it before, but
incredible
that's
stuff.
probably the widest Ferrari that there ever has been with Sam driving that. He's blocking everything. It's not even dangerous blocking. He's just putting his car in the right place at the right times, and it must be frustrating for Subrosa in that Porsche. As he's going to probably try the cutback or maybe go around the outside like he did on Alex, but Sam says no and just breaks that slight bit later. That unsettles the Porsche, and he's still ahead, but then absolutely nose to tail going down into Erosion Radion. There's not much you can keep these two apart, but a bit of a wobble there by the Ferrari. That's going to allow the Porsche to really close up. It's definitely got the top speed. You have to back off there. Sam's blocking the Ferrari, weaving slightly, but he's going to put the Porsche to the outside, probably brake a bit later. That Ferrari's got phenomenal brakes, and he does just that, and Subrosa can't get past again. This must be absolutely eating him up inside, knowing he's can't get the championship while he's in this position.
Yeah, and you can see the lap counter coming down as well, but it's probably going quicker for Subrosa than it is for Scuderia Sam, I'd imagine. Being the car in front, of course, having to defend, time goes a lot slower than being the car behind, trying to overtake, especially when the championship's on the line, isn't it? It's tough to defend, but it's also tough to overtake.
We see a quite interesting battle. It must have been another mistake by Alex because he's behind his teammate now, Stu in the other Mercedes, and he's got Roger. And this is quite interesting because obviously, like you said at the start, the championship position, whoever finishes in front between these two gets, I think, was it 4th in the championship or 3rd in the championship? So that's quite interesting, that battle. But back to the main championship battle up at the front. Will Subrosa have another go? He goes very wide there out of Stavlo. Probably going to wring the neck of that Porsche, try and get all the performance out of it, not show his hand just yet. Flinching to the outside just to try and dart. Oh, he's around! Hit the back of the Ferrari, he's in the barrier! That's devastating. Flicks it nicely, try and get in the straight line, but here comes Chris, he'll take second yet. Ooh, that was close. Takes second, goes very wide. Must try to avoid the Ferrari, but this is disastrous for Subrosa and the Porsche.
Absolutely heart-wrenching stuff for Subrosa there, and it's probably one of the features of the game, isn't it? We've seen it happen with Alex CDL, I think, a couple of times too throughout this championship. He just touched the rear of the car in front, ever so slightly, and the car just spins out, doesn't it? And it's really unfortunate stuff there. And unfortunately for the fans, the battle does seem to be over for now, unless Gudru-san makes a mistake. It looks like he's going to be claiming the championship. But talking about championship battles, Alex CDL finds himself in the middle of all the championship battles today by the looks of it. And this is a replay, Alex. Yeah, just tapped the back slightly, wasn't it? Nothing really could do, nothing either driver did wrong there, and we were enjoying such a good battle. I was going to say, it's been so clean between them. No contact whatsoever. But that's just quite unfortunate, I think.
Yeah, just a little nudge. It seems to make the back end light on the car, and it just forces it around. Nothing you can do. So he's down in third now. He'll try and catch Chris as Alex isn't really helping his teammate there. He's all over the back, and that's probably makes Stu a bit nervous, because he knows he needs these points, as Alex is just saying, I'm still here and I can overtake you, so get on with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Stuart Davis, obviously away from the track, he's been hoping Alex CDL will just back anyone else off off his tail and try and help Stuart as much as possible in the championship, seeing as Stuart has been ahead of Alex CDL pretty much since the start, I think, of this championship, and not necessarily always at the pace, but Alex CDL has thrown away a lot of points as well. But Stuart Davis here really, despite the fact he can't win the championship today, he really wants to finish third, doesn't he, ahead of Roger the Dodger. And it really is a case of old versus new in the championship battles.
Yeah, and the Mercedes looks very tricky as Stu exits stage left there and darts back onto the track. But yeah, I wonder if the Mercas absolutely cooked their tyres and they're falling back there. Ooh, as you see Alex going wider, that might let Roger dart through, but he doesn't risk it. There you can see Stu and Alex lap times have been awful the last couple of laps. Alex almost a second off anyone else is going wide, and then Stu with a 32, so he must have had a little instant too. But that Roger would be cool as anything and try and get past them all, as he'd probably be lining up on the brakes into the chicane, try and get past Alex at least, and catch up to Stu as Alex goes a bit wide there. Roger be looking now, see on the brakes, doesn't risk it, but has Alex gone too deep? Bit deep. Oh, he had to check it, there he almost went in the back of his teammate, that was very close, and that allows Roger and Stu sideways now. Will this be through wide?
Yes, free wide coming over the start-finish line now, heading into La Source. Alex Igel has the inside line, Stuart Davis on the outside after that mistake, and Roger Dawes straight through the middle in the wobbly bumpered Renault, and he's trying to get the flick back now, and Alex Igel runs wide, and Roger Dawes has got a great run here out of La Source, and he's towing Stuart Davis along with him in the slipstream. Alex Igel enters back onto the track. Welcome back, Alex. And it looks like Roger Dodge is ahead now, so two Mercedes in a couple of corners for Roger Dodge, and this has changed the complexion now of the championship for third place, because Stuart Davis, who runs really wide and nearly loses the back end, but manages to save it nicely, and he's lost all that straight line speed too. Now Roger Dodge still going defensive. Now Alex CDL's having to go at lawn mowing as well, and he's all over the back of Stuart Davis, making him quite nervous probably by the looks of it, and from a position of relative comfort for Stuart, it goes to a position of nothing to lose now. He needs to try and get ahead of that Renault, but Alex CDL is not going to help his teammate by the looks of it. He's down the inside now of Stuart, and Stuart's looking to fight back as they go into the right-hander, and he's got the inside line. Alex so fights it, and Alex swoops in, and he takes that position away from Stuart, and Stuart now, we can see third place slipping away because Roger Dodge and the Renault is scampering away now, down towards Pujon.
Yeah, a couple of mistakes, and that's cost you massively, and you might have tried to see if Alex can catch that Renault up, but God, the Mercedes looks awful at this point of the race. Look how wide they're going, there's not even the same track.
It's the Mercedes special line.
Yeah, it must be, but it doesn't look as composed as the lighter Renault or the Ferrari and all that, and they're just going so right. There's Alex in the gravel, Stu in the gravel, they're making their own race books somewhere. I have to look it up.
Well, we've seen...
Yeah, this is just going to allow Roger to scamper away quite nicely, and I wonder if Alex will let Stu back through so he can get the points or really have a bit of fun with him.
It looks like it. It looks like Alex CDL. We know he's a racer. So is Stuart Davis, and they just won a good race, don't they? And the Mercedes teammates, they've been sizing each other up all season long. And Stuart Davis looking down the inside now. Alex CDL, though, he's not. So he runs a little bit wide there, though. I was going to say he's not going to make an error, but he did. And now they're both exceeding track limits once again. And Stuart Davis, at this stage of the championship though, with 1 lap to go, it's just gloves off and a bit of fun I think to the flag, because it looks like Rog now is just slightly pulling away in that Renault, and we've seen that Renault come good at the end of races, and that's Alex CDL off and wide, and Stuart Davis has got a great run now. Are they going to go side by side down to Eau Rouge quite possibly? And very close to putting each other in the wall, and Stuart Davis has got him. What do you make of that, Alex?
Yeah, I think Alex just backed off then and let Stu go ahead of him, as we see Chris and Sabrosa battling for second. This is pretty big, so Sabrosa's come back around the outside. This is brave. Does he make a stick? Goes a bit wide, but he's ahead. But Chris will definitely fight back. Sabrosa blocks him off. Will Chris be brave on the brakes? That's a pretty good car for the brakes, but doesn't risk it at this point. Last lap, so he's got nothing to lose, and Sabrosa at this point, the championship slipped from his fingertips. But Chris is pushing him through with the corners, just trying to get him to go. And they'll be coming up to Free Gazelle now, just ahead of him, so I wonder if he'll let them through. Yeah, he does, just pulls off. Great bit of driving there for Free Gazelle. We haven't seen much of him, unfortunately, but all the action's been at the front for the championship as we skip ahead to Sam, who's not too far away. He's only 6 seconds, but he'll be taking it as easy as he can allow. And you can't see the Porsche in the background. You just see that lovely red Ferrari going through Stabler now. Easy as you like, doesn't want to risk it, doesn't want to go too far wide, doesn't want to go on the grass. As we see the trademark world's fastest cameraman going alongside. He'll be heading into Blanchemont. Easy as you like, might even lift off, slight lift off maybe, doesn't want to risk it. Heavy braking now, still can go wrong. Brakes super early, super nicely. Curb 1, curb 2. Fevin throttle, fire in the flames, and he blasts over the start-finish line. And Scuderia Sam is your GT3 champion.
Absolutely, seems pretty pleased with it as well, and that was a real battle on his hands as well with Subrosa, and congratulations Scuderia Sam on that one. Congratulations Subrosa as well. He must be devastated after what happened today, but he can hold his head high. Oh, look on the line there, that's Roger, that was Free Gazelle, that was. But on the line as well, look at this, close, Stuart Davis, but then you got Alex CDL and Greatest Stewpot. Greatest Stewpot must have been a hell of a last lap. He came out of nowhere there. I think he might have just pipped Alex CDL on the line. We'll have to see the official results. D-Man coming through now. I was going to say Subrosa as well would have been absolutely deserving champion. He's driven a fantastic championship, and we look forward to him returning as well in the next league, don't we, as we do all the drivers.
Yeah, he'll just motivate him more now to try and get the job done and win his first championship. But that's championship number 3 for Scuderia Sam, joining Alex in most championships where you see the red and black Audi of Loopy coming out over the Blanchemont to close his final GT3 race.
Yeah, it looks like the Scotsman now is coming up to the last corner. He runs still a bit wide, he's still pushing by the looks of it. He hasn't had too many battles on his hands by the looks of it today. We haven't really seen much of him either today, unfortunately. But like you say, the battle up front has been quite enthralling. But Loopy McGee now is coming out of the last corner, and he'll be happy, I think, to look at the next championship, which is going to be touring cars, a category of car he very, very much loves indeed, and so does Big Bad Wolf, and so does all drivers actually. Big Bad Wolf looks like he's got a bit of a flappy bumper going on there. That could be from his incident slightly earlier where he spun into the wall. But he's coming over the line now and closes out this GT3 championship for us in the red Lamborghini. What a championship that was, what a race that was, Alex. How do you sum that one up?
Yeah, brilliant race and brilliant championship in the end, but you see there, Scuderia Sam finishing the championship off with a win and a championship, so he'd be super happy. But like you said, unlucky Subrosa, finished second, did all he can, but the penalties and the disqualification, you'll have to wonder what would have happened if he kept those. But great finish as well for Chris in third on the podium. Roger quite close in the end in fourth, and just jumps steering the Mercedes, and as we see the driver standards now.
Yes, confirmation, Scuderia Sam tops Subrosa. Roger Dodge in the end came out just ahead of Stuart Davis after that fantastic dual Mercedes and Renault fight towards the last few laps there. Alex CDL in 5th position, for the looks of it. We had a bit of a lonely one, but in the end, in the championship battle. Then Cherry Berry, Chris Doherty, Joe Brown and Alex Brown, who wasn't with us today, either Bentley either actually. Chris Stewpot nearly topped Alex Brown in the championship, just finishing ahead of Luca McGee there and D-Man. And then back to Big Bad Wolf, who just pipped 3 Gazelle by a point in the championship, despite starting late. Really good battle between those two there, by the looks of it. And then Meaty CC Dan in the red only attended 1 race, but got 1 point. And then the manufacturer stand-ins, Mercedes were the championship winners before today, but Ferrari managed to extend the advantage over Porsche in the end in 2nd and 3rd there for Porsche, and then Audi, despite having 3 drivers, Audi were 4th, and then Renault 5th, Lamborghini, Bentley just ahead of McLaren by 4 points. And well, what a championship that was. Everybody was hyping up the GT3 championship beforehand with all the strengths and weaknesses of different cars and different circuits we were visiting, and I have to say it very much lived up to all the hype, I think, Alex.
Yeah, definitely delivered, and it's been a fantastic championship. Super clean as well, few mistakes, and as you see there, Scuderia Sam, your GT3 racing champion.
Yeah, so join us next time, where next time we're out in touring cars for the next championship, and let's have a little look back now at the highlights of this one.